Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us yet again for another class. As usual, we're gonna give a few seconds here for people to come in. There's a lot of people logging in, so we'll just give a few more seconds and then we'll get started. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you can all hear me just fine. I am today actually doing it from a different spot. I'm doing it from my home office, so hopefully it's clear. It's coming across just fine. All right. All right. So I think let's get going, right? This is if you're new to us, my name is Slavi Younger. I'm with the company called Frasch. We are a manufacturer of acoustical products. We do a lot of products for ceiling application, wall applications, as well as we do some division, as well as acoustical lighting. We work with one product or one material, I should say, that we absolutely love, which is called PT Felt, made out of recycled plastic bottles. My name is, like I said, Slavi Younger. I'm one of the original co-founders of the company, and I do spend a lot of time talking, educating. This is the part I love, as well as do a lot of art direction for how we present ourselves. I will turn off my camera now. I usually just turn it on at the beginning so you guys know there's a real person at the other end. I can see myself. The true reason is why I turn it off is I can see myself in the camera and it's totally distracting. My part is on the wrong side because it's reversed. Anyway, just joking. Okay, so we got everybody logged in. Hopefully that was going to join us. So let's get going. Let's do this. All right. So what we will be talking about today is a product or series of product called Vibe. You've probably seen some. We have released a smaller offering previously, and now we're going to share with you sort of the full line of what's available. We will talk about the styles and performance, the benefits, the installation options. We actually are very excited that this product has already won an award. It was got a first place just a few months ago from Interior Design Hip Award during NeoCon for wall application. So thank you, industry, for being so kind to us. We really appreciate that. So to make it easy to follow what is what, I divided it into two sections, walls and ceilings. There's three shapes. They're part of the Vibe series. They're called Nami, Sway, and Cliff, and I'll show you what is what. But the reason I separated them is because there's also another style, but that's applicable only to the ceiling installation or ceiling application, if you will. And we'll talk a little bit more what it means about the solid pieces versus fins and how they can work together. So here's a first look at what we mean, right? So Nami was actually inspired by waves. So it's Nami, sort of short for tsunami. Sway, it's kind of a sway look to it, and cliff is, sort of reminds us of the rock. So those were sort of the inspiration behind the shapes. Each of the shapes is 2 by 2 in size, 2 feet by 2 feet. And as I mentioned before, there's two versions of each shape. One is what we are calling fins, which you can think of it as small baffles next to each other that create the shape, or solid, or which you can think of it as a molded piece. That's one section. What you see here is actually what these shapes look like, or one of the versions of what they look like when you put 4 of the shapes or tiles next to each other, right? So each tile is 2 by 2. So what you see here is actually a section of 4 by 4 when installed. Okay, so let's talk about walls first. And let's start with NAMI. So as I mentioned before, when it comes to walls, the fins, the baffle, mini baffle thing is not what we use, right? So for wall applications, we're only talking about the molded solid pieces. Here's sort of what the individual piece looks like, right? It's a quarter of a circle, if you will. You can see the front, the side, the back view here. The performance is exceptional, right? We got ratings of 0.95 as far as NRC or noise reduction coefficient, which is really great, especially for a wall product. For you guys that are not as familiar with acoustics or all the different ways things are measured, NRC is a would essentially measure how much of the sound energy or the sound waves in a space get absorbed by certain products, right? Certain materials that are in a space. The highest rating you can possibly get is 1. That means perfect absorption. It means that everything that touched, all the sound wave energy that touched the product ended up being absorbed and none of it bounced back into the space. So 0.95 is very close to perfect. So that's really great. We expected a lot, but we were actually very pleasantly surprised how high these products rated. So here's just one of the looks, it's very similar that you've seen before. This is when you arrange the tiles in circles. One thing I want to point out that you can see here, they don't have to touch each other, right? So because they're molded on the sides, they're completely encased, right? So you could do a design where the tiles are randomly spaced, right? So that's certainly an option. Here is just only thing that has happened, the tiles were turned different direction to kind of give you more of a wave look that you see in few of these images. So that's kind of what, and of course, this is with the color options and placement, you can certainly create one of the kind original looks with the tile, right? Just imagination is the only thing can stop you here, right? So sway is the next shape, right? It's a little more subtle. It has a little bit of a wave in the middle. Again, stats are very similar. 0.95 NRC. It is a product intended for walls or ceilings. Let's take a look at what it looks like when you look at the wall, when you install it on a wall, right? Here we played around with alternating some colors so you can see what that looks like, right? Here's sort of a solid look. So that's sort of what walls get. Again, these are just like basic ways to place them on the wall. So let's talk about installation. As you guys know, we spent a lot of time thinking, how do we create something A, that's visually stunning, B, performs as high as possible as far as acoustics, and C is as simple to install, right? So we don't make it so complex that it scares folks or eats into their budget just because the installation is so complex that it's really becomes the product itself becomes unreachable for many budgets. So the 3 options that you see here, there's impaler clips, adhesive, or Velcro. Impaler clips work in a way where you screw in the impaler clip into the wall and you just press the tile in. If you don't get it quite right, you can actually pull it off and press it again. So it's really basic. The only damage to the wall that you're making is what a screw would do, right? So definitely application that works well if you believe you might need to remove it or remove the tiles, instead of something that's permanent, right? Adhesive that's in the middle, it's a little bit of a more permanent application. You can use liquid nails, or actually we've tested carpet glue adhesive. 3095 is the one used that works really well. this is definitely for high traffic areas, things like that, where you really want to have it done, that there's no chance that it will go anywhere, right? And Velcro works very similar to impaler clips. We actually just started to we've tested Velcro, and we actually feel like it works better than impalers. So this might be our go-to option. The way it works is the tiles themselves do come already with one part of the Velcro attached to it, and what happens then is the other half of the Velcro gets nailed into or screwed into the wall, and then of course the pieces are just pushed into the Velcro until they grip to each other. So very, very simple. Most of us would be able to do it, right? And you get a really impressive looks. So here is our wall builder. If you've worked with us for a while, you've probably stumbled onto it, and you maybe used it for a few things. Not all the shapes are on there, but the cliff is. But what I like wall builder for, and I would encourage your customers to use it this way, is it's kind of nice to see what colors you want to put together. What is the layout that you would like to do, right? So I just threw some pieces here together in a bunch of greens in the shape of a cliff. So there's certainly this is available. Like I said, they're fully enclosed, so they don't have to touch each other. You can go, you have 34 different colors to choose from, plus 4 that are, wood grains. And I know I said 4, and you might guys not even know if you're introducing 2 new shapes, but 2 new wood grains, which I'll show you what those are. Anyway, so let's talk about ceilings, right? This part I'm going to spend very little time on. This is the solid, which is exactly the same as you've seen on the wall section of the presentation. And you probably can tell that the reason why we went with 2 by 2 in size is because for ceiling, this is intended to perfectly fit into a T-grid drop ceiling to replace 2 by 2 ceiling tiles, right? So we are obsessed with making the boring drop ceiling sexy, and this is sort of part of that as well. So this is a little different, right? So this again, you start with a T-grid and you are adding onto an existing T-grid, the most common, the least expensive ceiling option that there is. But this is the way where you can really make it look like something that's much fancier than that. The difference as far as installation when you're dealing with the fin option is there is a hardware that gets attached, which again, super simple, gets screwed into the T-grid, and the hardware is on the bottom of the page here. I know it's kind of hard to see maybe, but the first drawing of it is if you were looking from bottom up. And the bottom drawing is to show you sort of what it looks like from the side, where you can see the little teeth, right? So what happens is you screw the hardware into the T-grid, and then you just snap the pieces into it, and the teeth hold it, right? There's nothing else you need to do. You just snap them in, and you keep going until you get that. One thing, the NRC is again still very, very good, little lower than the molded pieces. But still really, really good at 0.75. So here's a look of what a ceiling would look like. When we were doing this, these are kind of 4 options we played around. So to just kind of show you is that you don't have to only do waves or circles, right? You can create little more abstract looking ceilings. I think this is one of my favorite. I do like abstract look. This is when you use the fins, right? And a little more lined up, complete circles look. Again, really, really classic, really clean looking product. So this we haven't touched on. So what you can do is mix and match, right? Because all the pieces are 2 by 2, you could actually mix the shapes. We haven't really done much with that, but I bet it would be really cool to really kind of create a mosaic when you utilize all three shapes. But you certainly can alternate the thin pieces and the molded pieces because they're all 2x2. You're going with T-grid sealing. You just alternate them and you install them in two different ways. Again, this is a sort of wavy look with fins. This is molded pieces, as you can tell. And here's why I want to let you guys know that all the molded pieces can be done in, can be used with doing a wood grained print, right? So as I mentioned earlier, we are adding two new grains that are really, really pretty. I think you guys will really love them. However, before we get to that, this is just to show you guys that, you know, you can take it another level, which is give it, you know, the movement, all that, as well as more of a natural look. So here's a sway. Again, you've seen this. This is sway as molded, again 2x2, intended to go onto a T-grid. Here's the version of it when it is in the fin form. The stats are exactly the same. Installation is exactly the same. So now let's look at some photos. This is sort of the same tile, right? One using white tile, the other one's actually been printed with our new color called Rich Soil. It's actually one of my favorites. When we are done, you guys should definitely get onto our site and request samples. This is the most variety. It has the most depth. I think it's really pretty. I think it turned out really great. Sway in the fin form, and here's our final shape, which is cliff, which again, same thing, same stats, and cliff as a fin, same stats, same installation, and just here's some looks at what you can accomplish. Again, this is mixing the fin and molded together. This is all molded, changing the directions. Here's a smaller install right there. And now quickly on how to install it. Again, this is easier than it should be, right? That is the goal. So first one is how to install Vibe solid. Solid pieces get installed by the first picture actually, the first drawing I should say, represent T-grid. And all you do is you put the two brackets you see on top of the T-grid, right? You don't even have to screw them in. You just place them on top of the T-grid. The middle photo where you see the torsion spring is the hook part is what's already part of the tile itself. You put the torsion spring in that the product comes into, and then you squeeze the spring together, put it through the hardware, the bracket that you put onto the T-grid, and then you push the tile in. And because the spring torsion springs want to open, it's what holds the tile up. One thing that I love about this is that we are repurposing a hardware that people are familiar with, right? This is a very common, from what I understand, very common hardware used in different ceiling applications, especially when it comes to lighting, right? So we just like, we saw it under lighting, and our engineers, the geniuses, kind of came up with this option. Works really well. It's a proven process. So definitely we're very excited about how quick this works. Fins is, again, quite simple. If you are familiar with our Linifelt product, it's similar to that, right? You install the bracket onto the T-grid, and then you snap it in instead of fins, which are kind of like a U shape or U-shape version, right? That you snap two corners in. These are individual ones. These are actually different brackets because they're actually a little slightly closer together. But the process is the same thing. Install the hardware and then snap, snap, snap for the final look. All right. I did mention, that as you guys probably know, we have a lot of colors. We have 34 colors. We had 2 wood grains, the pecan medium and then light birch, which, we've been certainly selling more and more of it. There's definitely has been a move towards utilizing as much natural finishes as possible. I'm sure you've seen it definitely, that it's an important thing as far as biophilic design. We do better when we have natural colors and finishes in the space. I do think some of this also is driven by prices of wood going up. So using something like this, we've seen people actually utilizing this where the acoustics was not the first goal, but it was to add the wood grain, and this ended up being a more cost-effective option. So the first one on top is rich soil. Like I said, you can see the depth and dimension that it gives you, right? It's like it's kind of reflects light, interestingly. So I absolutely love that. And then the light gray on the bottom is really, really clean, really subtle. So it's like really just kind of clean, and you can have miles of this and you will not get tired of it for sure. It's absolutely beautiful. That one's been crazy popular with our product called Plank. So we've been doing, before we even released this color, we have been doing so many planks with this light gray, for months now. So that is it for my presentation. This one was quick and easy. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can think of a bunch of different ways where you can introduce it, where you can apply this. Definitely do not be shy about reaching out and requesting samples of the molded vibe shapes, as well as samples of the new wood grains, so you have them ready handy to go as you need it. The next thing we're doing is a CEU. It's one of our new ones, which is called Listen Up, the Kids Can't Hear You. This is a class about soundscape in education, right? The importance of a sound being proper for the space that it's being utilized for. It's kind of interesting, even if you are not working much with education, this is a really interesting class in a sense that we actually go over a lot of research we found where, how sound can actually affect your memory, can affect your ability to process new information. It's just something that is just general, probably applicable to a lot of other situations outside of the classrooms. So that is it for me. I forgot to tell you at the beginning, but probably you guys know that if you have any questions, please do type them into question section and I'll be happy to answer them. If you do want to email me about something, my email address is sy, as of Slavi, y as younger, @frasch.com. I know you guys probably know it's .co, but guess what? We finally were able to get .com. So frasch.com now works. Frasch.com in our emails works. So you can go .co, .com, and it will get to us. So yeah, type away your questions if you have any. I would love to answer them. I do see there's a few in here already, so let me quickly read them and answer them. And okay, so if the price is the only factor, what is the best product to cover ugly ceiling tiles? Okay, so ugly ceiling tiles, definitely Lindyfeld is a fantastic option. And this vibe, I think this question probably came early from Lyle before we got into the presentation. The vibe series is it was originally thought of as a ceiling thing, right? We want to always figure out the ceiling first for us. It's those are absolutely fantastic options, right? You can keep the tile in if you already have one. You could actually, but you can also just, even if you're doing new construction, do the T-grid just the same and save your money on the tiles and go with something like this. Once the solids are installed, do you see any portion of the T-grid, or are the tiles so close together you don't see the T-grid? What is the expectation? So they are designed so you do not see the T-grid. Same thing for our fins, meaning obviously they are intended to be separate, but they are touching each other, right? They're trying to create a look where it doesn't look like it's a T-grid, right? It's not a product that you place in. It is a product that's installed from the bottom up, and we made the size such that that the T-grid kind of disappears. When using the fins, can the sprinkler system still be above the tiles? So the recommendation is, well, it depends, right? I'm going to say in most scenarios, probably not. There is a rule if you have baffles or really fins, anything like that underneath the sprinkler system, they have to be certain size apart from each other. And I don't have that memorized, but I do believe that, or my guess is that our fins are a little too close to each other, right? So they have to be far apart enough so they don't impede the sprinkler system from doing what it needs to do. What usually happens is the sprinkler heads are lowered to be right below the fins, so they will operate just the same. Any last questions from anybody? If there's not any more questions, I'm so excited. Look at me, actually finished on time. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen for me. So thank you guys for joining us. I hope you found this helpful. If there's anything else that comes up, you know how to get a hold of us. Quotes@frasch.com is those guys are fantastic. They are, very technical. They can answer your questions for your samples. You can email samples@frasch.com. That absolutely will help you there as well. We can't wait to work with you guys on your next project. If there's anything I can do for you, my name is Slavi Younger. My email is sy@frasch.com. Have an amazing rest of the day. Really appreciate you, and have a good one.